timekeeper, kindly note, when you hear the first bell, it means you are down to a minute left to finish your topic. And for 2 bells, represents your 5 minutes is up, while 3 bells indicates that you have used up your maximum allotted time for your presentation. Let us all be reminded that our time limit is crucial, though we want to capture the momentous inputs and discussions though we are only bound for only a short period of time. For reactors, reminder lang, each reactor is given to present or discuss their thoughts based on the topic or presentation for a maximum of 5 minutes. The presenter may choose to address the thoughts, issues, concerns raised by the reactors, which on the other hand allotted for 3 minutes only. Participants can either opt to address or endorse their questions, reactions through the reactors, and the reactors may present the same in their discussion. When we still have time, participants are also given the floor to raise their questions to the presenter and reactor. Please just raise your hand and state your name and from what association you are from. Okay, to formally start, may I welcome everyone to be comfortably seated and relax. This session is again for 1 hour and 30 minutes. So please let us all enjoy and have a fruitful Kurambus discussion ahead. Okay, I think we're all settled in. Again, let me welcome each and everyone to this breakout session for the 3rd Cagayan de Oro Housing Summit with the principal theme, Kurambus Hapsay Balay. May I acknowledge also myself as the facilitator for this thematic 3 discussion. I am Kim, and as facilitator and acting head of the Land Acquisition and Banking, and also from the Division of Land and Housing Development. Also have the documenter, Engineer Sheila Placibe, and Ms. Lovejoy Daayata as our timekeeper. And last but not the least, Sir Mark for our video and photo presentation. May I acknowledge also ladies and gentlemen of this session for your presence despite your eventful schedules. I am also delighted to see familiar faces here. So good afternoon again, Ma'am, Sir. Okay, are we ready? Document timekeeper, let's get this on. Okay, I'm gonna give a little background of what just have transpired this morning session. No, it is very profound. Dagan kay discussion na inculcate. So I think everyone is full of information already and data, and we're in esteemed speakers from Socialized Housing Finance Corporation, UN Habitat Philippines, the John J. Carroll Institute on Church and Social Issues, discuss significant points on international perspective on housing and urban development, urban poor and informal settlers, case studies in the Philippines, and developing socialized housing, including strategic directions of CDO's housing and urban development engagement by Assistant Secretary of DSUD, Honorable Villanueva. And of course, from Engineering Department of Jude, also discussed the CDO's 9-year housing development program. And sorry, I just give a brief background this morning. No, while our very own Mayor Oscar Moreno gave insights on the lessons learned on the city's journey in housing. He even quoted that if he had to do it every day, he will do it every day. So this afternoon, a collaborative session for land use and affordable socialized housing will be captivated to serve as referential points and recommendations for the drafting of the local shelter plan. So chiefly from our esteemed speakers or presenters coming from the City Planning Development Office, City Housing and Urban Development, Social Housing Finance Corporation, and the National Housing Authority of Region 10. So without further ado, may I call on our presenter. Our first presenter is from the City Planning and Development Office. He is very active in public social service and within the premises of the CPDO. May I welcome, are you okay? Okay na, sir. May I welcome Architect Kevin R. Mugot. A round of applause, please.
Mic test. Mic test. 1, 2. So may sa Good afternoon, everyone. I hope makasabot ra mo og Bisaya or English, no? Kay my Tagalog is pang elementary. I hope I will speak in English and in Sagol Bisaya. So my topic is about the 5 key growth areas of Cagayan de Oro. So I am from the City Planning and Development Office, Architect Kevin Mugot. And as part of the land use topic, I will discuss some portions nga derived from our CLUP. No? This is an approach in the CLUP. They identified 5 key growth areas of CDO. And by nature, these are development guidelines in land use planning. Next slide, please. So a growth area, simply, is a designated area which development is permitted. You may ask, why do we need the growth area? Next slide, and click please. So a growth area is needed kay grow ang atong city, no. By nature, Cagayan de Oro as the northern Mindanao hub, it is growing, no, with or without land use planning. So the challenge now is how do we designate which area should be strategic for growth and which should be controlled. So diha na ni sulod ang land use planning. So in order to do that, let's look at the population, no? Cagayan de Oro, previous slide, please. Okay, in order to do that, we should factor in population. Because when there is population, there is services. There will be services. Diba? Kung asa ang daghan tao, there will be the need for services. The more the need for services. So when I say services, that means housing, parks, infrastructures, utilities like water, fire, commercial areas, and so on, to support the population. So if you have observed this picture, this is sa highway. Gaisano Mall na siyang nadira sa right side. Ka-experience mo ani, katulad sa itong mga taga-Cagayan, it's really congested, no? And traffic, especially if there is an event. This is because the majority of the services sa Cagayan de Oro, majority sa iyahang support infrastructures, is located here sa downtown area. However, ang ihang population sa Cagayan de Oro, as I've said kanina, is growing. And the population is not just growing in this area only. If we look at the next map, the population density map. Next slide, please. Click, please. You can see nga ang population sa CDO, the greener, the more the population is. So katag siya, the downtown area is congested, but also in areas diri sa west, in areas diri sa east, and even areas diri sa uptown, no? So the services need to keep up with the population. So na-figures diri, top barangays, which are the population, Carmen, Balulang, Kauswagan, Lapasan, Bulwa, Kamamanan, Lumya, Bugo, Gusa, Makasandig. Unfortunately, the services on those areas are not that equal sa services nga naa diha sa downtown area. That's why congested kaayo. So we need to approach this, next slide please, with an objective to provide more services and a strategy to identify and develop growth areas with basic and excellent facilities. So the CLUP has identified these 5. West Urban, West Uptown, the Downtown, Uptown, Western, Eastern Uptown, and the Eastern Urban. So ato nang isa-isahon. So this is the Western Urban Development Area. Click please. So basically, muna siya ang barangays involved siya. So it has already an integrated bus and jeepney terminal. Napod siya fish and vegetable landing and coastal road. In this area, the proposed development will be commercial areas, mixed-use commercial areas, widen the coastal highway, as you can see there, drainage, wastewater, multi-purpose and socio-economic centers like parks, and etc. Another area is the West Uptown. So kani siya, uphill na ni siya. So this involves the barangay Carmen, Balulang, Canitoan, and Lumbia. So these existing facilities, residential, commercial areas, SM Uptown, and other institutional offices. So what we propose here, next slide please, is this Master and Urban Design Plan. Road networks, greenbelt areas, tree strips, also wastewater treatment, retention basins, rain harvesting measures, retirement community homes, and multipurpose and socio-economic centers. Another area is the East Uptown. So, existing facilities, convention centers, tourist attractions, city relocation site, and private schools. And next slide, please. Proposed development, slope protection as it is an uptown area. Just like sa West Uptown, green belt, parks and open spaces, rain harvesting, and socio-economic centers and cave protection. Next slide, please. So the fourth area is the eastern. Dito na sa Bugo, Agusan, Balubal areas. So these are the existing facilities, no? It is an entryway from Butuan and an entryway from Bukidnon, the Sairi Highway. What we propose in these areas are, next slide please, J.R. Borja Extension Road, secondary road networks, just like the previous nga development areas, parks and open spaces, mangrove reforestation, and other centers. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this one is the downtown development area. Most of these are existing na sa downtown, no? And actually, there's no need to really compress many developments there is sa downtown. However, improvements should be made sa downtown master plan, transportation master plan, green belts, riverfront development project, vertical parking spaces, vertical buildings, and urban renewal for blighted areas. Next slide, please. So in summary, those are the growth areas. And if all is realized, all those proposed developments will be realized, then the transport and network circulation plan will flow seamlessly, and it will decongest the downtown area, as you can see in this circulation map. So I think that's all for my presentation. So daghang salamat.
Okay, thank you so much, Architect Mugot. Again, we'd like to apologize if we can hear the ding, but we are bound to your discussion, so let's just proceed. So, Architect Mugot simplified the areas of of development of the city. So, thank you for that input, sir. Our second presenter of this afternoon, engaging in the topic of affordable housing, is the dynamic division head of the Land and Housing Development Division of CHUD, an achiever of the land acquisition and banking, our beautiful, dynamic, and hardworking Ma'am Maricel Palarca. A round of applause, please.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, I will be presenting CHUD's experience in land acquisition and housing affordability through collaborative initiatives. Next slide, please. So this will be the outline of my presentation. First, the background, CHUD experience and initiatives, as well as the challenges and impacts. Next slide, please. Okay, like any progressive cities in the Philippines, informal settlements in Cagayan de Oro City has put a tremendous pressure on the capacity of its urban ecosystem. So being a highly urbanized city in northern Mindanao, it is challenged in its available suitable lands for settlement, as the market price of real properties is undeniably prohibitive. So during the formulation of the local shelter plan in 2013, 34,898 households were identified as priorities for relocation. Thus, it was estimated that within the plan period, about 350 hectares of land based on the assumption that about 100 single detached housing units could be built in a hectare of land. Next slide, please. So the target locations for land acquisition were in the 3 urban expansion areas, so namely Lumbia, Balubal, and Indahag. This is to declog the urban center and spur development of these areas. Acquiring specific properties for socialized housing in these areas have never been easy. So at first, we struggled with several difficulties like lack of technical capacity and procedural know-how. Also, the fund allocation. So it was only in 2016 that the city started to acquire new lands for socialized housing project. Of course, with the support of the 18 City Council. Next slide, please. Okay. So overcoming these obstacles, the city has to date duly acquired a total of 140 hectares of land, amounting to about 315 million pesos for land banking. So this comprises the 722 project at Pahiron, Balubal Heights, Pagatpat Phase 1, Phase 2, and City Hall employees. And then we have around 100 hectares remaining for land banking. Next slide, please. Okay, affordability based on BP 220 means that socialized housing projects should be within the 30% of the gross family income of the beneficiaries. And this could be attained if cost at the various stages of housing development, from cost of land, cost of site development, as well as housing construction, could be considerably reduced. So land banking is the city's strategic policy to ensure that socialized housing projects that will be developed will be financially accessible. And prospective beneficiaries of the city's housing program can acquire these properties at a lower cost or the buying price as required by the city. And also we have generation of resources, of course, in collaboration with national agencies and other stakeholders for land development and housing construction. So we have the Balay program, or the Building Adequate, Livable, Affordable, and Inclusive Filipino Communities. It has made possible for the city to access funds from the balanced housing compliance of private developers. Also, we have CMP of SHAFC, Resettlement Assistance Program of NHA, and also the Resettlement Action Plan. So this is our existing and ongoing projects. So we have accessed funds of about 2 billion pesos. So the 722 project at Pahiron, Pagatpat Phase 1, Phase 2, City Hall Housing Project at Tumbia. Next slide, please. And also the Pagatpat Transitory Shelter Facilities, Bayanihan 2 at Makapaya, Balubal Phase 2, and San Simon Housing Project. So this is in collaboration with SHAFC, DSUD, and other partner agencies. So all in all, we have accessed fund of about 2 billion pesos. Okay, the impact. The city's capacity to provide shelter to ISF through land acquisition, land banking program ensures responsiveness to opportunities for partnership or collaboration, attracting both local and national private housing developers to engage their balanced housing compliance and improving affordability of housing. So acquired properties and relocation sites spurred real estate development in surrounding areas. This, however, also pushed the market price of land higher. So moving ahead to another 9 years, these are the challenges that lies before us. So first is the development of affordable and innovative housing designs that are either more practicable to deal with the rising cost conventional construction materials. So in LSP 2013, there are 6 groups identified, but in the city we only cater up to 3rd income group. Next slide, please. Second is the availability of suitable and affordable lands for socialized housing projects. So the prospective properties already acquired by private developers or have increased market values. Lands that have been considered by the city as prospect for acquisition have either been acquired by private developers or have increased in cost. So I think that ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Maricel. Okay, pwede ba gano'n sa exercise gawin? Diya sa likod, hep hep. Hep hep. Una to, that lang. Sige. Thank you. Dire, napaday dire. Please lang. Hep, hep. Hep, hep. Dito, please. Hep, hep. Hep, hep. Thank you. So, medyo kulbaan sad ko dire, no? So, the first presenter cited the significance of land use, no? Especially in the city of Cagayan de Oro. Ma'am Maricel, from the of CHUD, she explicate the affordability and design of how CHUD approach the approach of CHUD when it comes to city socialized housing, and the lower cost compared to commercial and private subdivisions through collaborative agencies. So, as mentioned earlier in the morning, no, that LGU acts as an equity. So, compared to the commercial subdivision, to the private developers, and the city, it's in lower cost. And then, of course, working with housing sectors and special projects contributed to the city housing and urban development approaches on socialized housing projects and resettlements. Okay, without further ado, I want to introduce our next esteemed presenter. He is the Executive Vice President of the Socialized Housing and Finance Corporation, and our speaker this morning also. And he is an ENP, and top 3, of course. He's a Chevening Scholar, a Fellow of the Netherlands Fellowship Program, and of course, he is a Japanese language proficient. Let me welcome, again, Sir Attorney Junfe G. Payot.
Okay, sige. May hapon. I'm very happy no na makita na ako tong mga presentations sa first 2 speakers natin no, because it gives a context din dito sa presentation nato. No? Okay. Katong isa pa, land use. Not this one. This was the one I presented this morning. No? Anyway, so again, my presentation this afternoon would be sort of reminder din lang, no? Reminder din lang about certain principles and certain things that we should consider when we make our comprehensive land use plan, no? I noticed sa first presentation, no, it's all good, no, na we have these nodes of development, but at the same time, we should ensure that that people share, okay, that people share in the prosperity, okay, that we all want to generate through these various growth areas, no. So always, it's not just economic prosperity, but also social inclusion and of course environmental protection, no. So next slide, please. Okay, we can skip that. Okay, so this is a picture of which city do you think this is? This is the uptown area, no? Okay, 2003 versus 2015. Okay, so as you can see, in about a decade, daghan na kaayo tao sa uptown area. Okay, this is especially after sa Sendong, no? So most people moved sa uptown. Okay? So there's a very radically changing land use even in our own city, no? And so this is a picture of Cagayan de Oro, no? And these are the reasons, no, for this this change. Well, firstly, you have population growth, no, both natural birth rate increase and migration, which was something that was discussed this morning, no, and also urbanization and urban sprawl, no. That's another issue that we need to face, no, and of course, economic growth as a regional economic hub, no. Our mayor emphasized this morning that the city, okay, is an economic hub in the region, no, from not just Misamis Oriental, but also the rest of Region 10, sa Caraga, no, even, no, okay. After all, we are probably the fourth biggest city in the Philippines, no? Also the fourth most industrialized. And of course, climate change, no, it also affects our changing land use. Okay, next slide, please. And this is true not only for our city, but this is true throughout the world. Okay, urban areas are expected to absorb virtually all future growth. Okay, so this is a global phenomenon, no? Global phenomenon, where right now, I think around 53% of the world's population now live in cities, no? Okay, so of course, you will expect a lot of changes in land use, which is why we need to set aside land for housing intentionally, okay? Not just as an afterthought, no? Sometimes we think, kinahanglan man din natog mga areas for housing, okay? Usually this happens after a calamity, no? After a tragic event. Let's not wait for that, no? Let's not wait for that. But I think you are already planning, no? As presented by Ma'am Naricel, no? This afternoon. Next slide. So when we speak of affordable housing, it's really a struggle for land, no? The challenge of housing is really the challenge of looking for land. And okay, this is something that I already presented this morning. No, it's so important that it is in our constitution. No, urban land reform. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. We can also skip that. Okay, now, what is the most important factor in affordable housing? It's really location. No, location. Okay. Location plays a very important part in increasing the resilience of families. Okay? If you put families in a far-flung area, no, they will only become impoverished. Okay? This is a lesson that we have seen time and time again in Metro Manila. No, so let's not keep doing this. I mean, keep committing the same mistake. Now, this is a mistake that have been happening for decades in other cities. Now, let's not repeat it in our city, in CDO. No? So, location as an element of the right to adequate housing is very important, no? Because it also gives you access to employment, okay, to livelihood, social utilities, no, social facilities, no? Access to schools, access to health centers. No? So, very important ang location, which is why sa SHAFC, we encourage in-city housing. And in fact, we supported the filing of a bill in Congress which requires key shelter agencies to prioritize in-city housing. And we're very happy that the city of Cagayan de Oro is not into resettling families outside of the cities, no? Like they do in Metro Manila. So those who live along the esteros of Metro Manila, they would resettle sa Bulacan, sa Cavite, no? Which impoverishes them because it would now be more expensive for them to go back to Manila where their livelihoods are. No? So that's something that we should avoid. Okay, and that is why land banking is very important. No? Land banking is very important so that we ensure that there is really land in city, okay, in city, not outside of the city like they do in Metro Manila. Okay, this is also something that I presented this morning. No? When you do in city, so this morning I said that one of the factors for our success, for our five-star rating, is because of our participatory approach. But the other important factor why families like our projects is that they are in city. No? As you will see, in city, off-site. Okay, we only have one off-site. Okay, this is a project for the HDH. That's a special program, and we only have a few off-sites, no off-sites. But it is our in-city, okay, housing projects that are highly rated. No, 4 of them. No, so these are in-city. So in-city, very crucial. You need to preserve the social networks of people, their access to friends, and those who can help them. No. also their access to employment and their livelihood. Okay, next slide. Okay, so why in city? Because it preserves access of families to economic and educational opportunities, as well as social services. No? Okay, and it also helps preserve social support networks. Okay, what do we mean by social support networks? Diba? We usually run to friends, to family members para mag-utang or magbantay sa mga anak, di ba? When you resettle people off city, they lose that access to friends and families who can help them, okay? Economically and also socially. Okay? And one good thing about in-city housing is that the city will continue to enjoy the people's services. Okay? So, kung idea lang unta, no, maghimog housing near SM, near Limkitkay, because this is where the people work, no? If that were possible, no? But of course, we know that that is not so because of the very high prices of land, which is why you need to continue doing land banking, no, proactive land banking. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another issue. Okay, how you determine the highest and best use. In most cities, they forget the social value of land. People only look at the commercial value of land. Okay, so they say, even land owned by local governments, land owned by national agencies, they are very hesitant to give them up for social housing because they believe that this should be used for commercial purposes. No? Especially in our society, no, commercial use always prevails. No, money talks. But we also need to remember the social value of land. No, land before among our ancestors, it was commonly owned because people were thinking about the communal well-being. Nowadays, we're very capitalistic, very individualistic. We need to go back to our roots. No? So there should be a balance, no? Sustainable development components. It's not just about economic prosperity, but also social inclusion. No? And even if you focus only on the economic aspect, no? Housing, it's also good to prioritize housing because there are multiplier effects to housing. No? There are multiplier effects economically. So just a review, no? Sige, next, click. Okay, so sustainable development, it's not just about economic prosperity, but also about social inclusion. We need to ensure that people actually share in the prosperity, that they feel good about themselves, that they feel safe in our cities, no? Okay, while we are protecting the planet as well. So this should also be considered, no? When we plan all those economic growth areas that you have planned for the uptown, the three areas, we need to consider all of this. This is just a reminder, no? This is just a reminder back to the basics. I'm sure you have all considered this, no? But if you haven't, this would be a good time to remember this, no? That we need to remember the three P's: prosperity, people, and planet. Next slide, please. Okay, housing. Okay. Economically, it is also good. No? It actually contributes to economic prosperity as well. No? The multiplier effect on the construction industry, no, can spur economic development. There's also generation of employment, no, because all those people will have to be, all of these houses will have to be built by people. There's also the element of eradication of poverty and inequality, no, and of course reduction to climate change. No? Housing people, okay, reduces their vulnerability to climate change. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is the multiplier effect of construction. It's 1.9. It's among the highest. It's among the highest, okay, among the various industries. Meaning, for every peso that you invest in housing, okay, in constructing all those buildings, halimbawa yung sa Balubal, it generates 1.9 pesos of additional value. Okay? So it is among the highest output multipliers, no? Itong housing. So from an economic point of view, it also makes sense. But again, we're not only thinking of economic prosperity, but also social inclusion. Next slide. Okay, so these are figures actually from DSHUD. No? Constructing a low-cost housing unit requires 8 persons, working for 3 days for a total of 124 man-days. No? So it's good economics. No? Giving a focus on housing is good economics. And it can employ over 1 million people, no? If you construct 136 low-cost housing units per year. Next slide. Now, there's an ongoing issue, and this is something that this is a constant problem for SHAFC, because some of the land that are being offered to us for use in a social housing project are still classified as agricultural land on paper, but in actuality, ang dami ng mga residential areas doon, no? And wala nang irrigation. It's really not very productive anymore, no? So, but there's some people, no, like to pit housing against agriculture use, no, or they pit housing rights versus food security. But most of this is really just turf war, no? People from other agencies would like to protect their turf, no? So they said, no, you cannot use that because we have to convert that first. No? First, the city has to reclassify, and then we convert. We have the power of conversion. No? We tried to reconcile all these interests. Okay, before, no, by meeting with other agencies. There was also a summit among DNR, DAR especially, also DA and SHAFC. But because of turfing, okay, walang nangyari dun sa efforts na mag-reconcile sana. So we need to update classifications, no, and actual use. Sa case ng SHAFC, Valenzuela, okay, we had a case where a tenant, an alleged tenant filed a case against our president, no, a president of SHAFC, because supposedly the land that we were using for social housing was a land that he was cultivating for farming in Valenzuela. Okay, in Valenzuela, no. Valenzuela is part of Metro Manila. It's highly urbanized, but on paper, okay, his land indeed was still agriculture. No, so they filed the case against us. We prevailed. No, we won this case. But that shows you, no, that we really need to update classifications, and we need one-stop shops for objective and rational conversion of land. No, classification first sa level ng city, and then conversion sa level ng Department of Agrarian Reform. No? Also, maybe we can do urban agriculture to ensure that both housing and food security are addressed. No? Like in the case of the sweet corn sa Ateneo, okay? If you go to Katipunan, part of the Ateneo before was planted with sweet corn, no? Sweet corn. So it was a mixed use, no? Mixed use approach sa Katipunan, no? It's highly urbanized area pero na yung mga sweet corn. Okay, so make sure, no, that the land you set aside for residential purposes are not classified as agricultural land right now. Kasi it will really delay the process. You know, it will delay the process. So we have a very hierarchical system of approving our land use plans, no? And this can also create problems, no? My point is, let's make sure, no? Let's make sure that our land use plans are consistent with our developmental goals, no? And also that we put money where our mouth is, no? So in terms of the investment. Again, just a reminder, no? Just a review for you. I'm sure you all know this already. Next slide, please. I think that's it, no? That's it. Hindi pa. Meron pa pala. Okay. Well, the last three slides, okay, just shows you the CDP of Cagayan de Oro, no? So we need our land use plans to be consistent with our comprehensive development plans. And finally, next slide, please. Okay, we need to convince people, no, to start living in multi-story arrangements. Okay, if they want access to services and want to live in city, okay, maybe we need to start being open to the idea of actually living in two-story, buildings, rather than a house on a plot of our own. Of course, a lot of people think, that there's still a lot of space in Cagayan de Oro, but soon, if the population is not managed very well, there will be traffic. Okay, the city center will be inaccessible. So maybe there's really a need to set aside land for social housing, okay, affordable housing, very near the city, if not within the city center, if that is possible. So we need cultural adjustments, and also there's a need for settlements management. Once you go up, that means you have a very high concentration of people living within a small area, even living within the same building, okay, where you have all these common spaces, like in Balubal. I'm sure that will require a lot of settlements management, because you have a lot of people within a very small area. Okay, which is good, which is also good because you concentrate the built area in one space, and then that leaves more space for the open spaces, for the green areas, but that also requires really good settlement management. You manage the people, you empower them, let them build their own social networks, and let them develop their own communities. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Attorney Junfe. I'd like to ask lang kung unsa to ang 3 Ps? 3 Ps. Prosperity. Okay. 3 Ps. Maura gid ako so far nga dumduman jud bitaw. 3 Ps is prosperity, people, and planet. So, I hope we could have documented that, Ma'am Engineer Sheila. Okay. For our previous 3 presenters, I hope you have documented the important inputs of our first 3 speakers. Okay, thank you. Okay. For our last but not the least, 4th presenter is the acting regional manager of National Housing of Region 10, graduate of 2 engineering courses from BS Civil Engineering from Adamson University and Sanitary Engineering from National University. He also graduated from 2 masteral courses, Master of Business Administration and Master in Public Administration from St. Columban College of Pagadian City. May we all welcome Engineer Alfonso L. Borlagdan. Round of applause, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Although si attorney ay explained already yung mga land use, although it's very important, and mostly of the projects that we encountered also when I was in Manila, yung mga agricultural lands. So we really asked the assistance of DAR because of the cases filed against us. So our regional office will just report or present our accomplishments and contributions to the city of again the Oro City. We will just limit only our presentations during the term of Mayor Oka. So next slide, please. Next. So, during the term of Mayor Oka, we have implemented 11 projects composed of 6 housing programs for calamity victims, almost for the Sendong victims, and then one housing program for former rebels, and for a settlement assistance program for LGU. We generated a total of 5,035 units for these 11 projects, and amounting to almost 504 million. We turned over also to the individual titles, 774. Aside from the resettlements, we have also an emergency housing assistance program. I think that's only 18 million. 18 million, 18 million for the fire victims, and also including those flood victims. This is the directives of our general manager to be ready, particularly in providing the housing assistance for the fire victims. So one of the calamity projects is located in Makapaya, Kapamanan. We call it Bayanihan Village Phase 1. We generated 422 units, and we turned over that to the city government of Cagayan last October 2020. And the Bayanihan Phase 1A, we generated 186 units. I think the land development only ang initiate ito ang city government ang sa housing units. Next, please. Next is the Indahag relocation site, located also in Indahag, Cagayan de Oro. We generated that total of 414 units. Ang counterpart lang namin yata dito because of the housing units was being constructed by our partners in the Habitat. Our contribution, I think, is 40,000 per unit. The same thing with the phase 3. Although 40,000 lang yan, pero ang mostly ang Habitat na ang nagtapos ng mga housing units yan. So for the phase 3, we generated also 1,446 units. Next is the Lumbia Heights phase 1. We generated also 472 house and lot units, and we turned over that also last October 2020 to the city government of CDO. And then that's the aerial report. Another Typhoon Sinong projects is located also in Mamboaya Village Phase 1 with a total of 954 generated lots. And we turned over that also last November 2020. Including also these 3 community facilities, the covered court, the police outpost, and the livelihood training center. We have also housing for the former rebels located at the Midland Valley Homes in Mamboaya, Dansulihon, again the Oro City. a total of 250 house and lot units. Ongoing pa itong mga namin, mga enhancement. Next is the Balobal Housing Project, located also in Balobal, Cagayan de Oro City. We have only introduced land development only for this project. A total of 500 lots were generated. So ang siguro ka ang housing bahala ng city government of CDO. This was mentioned by ma'am, although ang part ng LGU is the land development. Ongoing ito, 164 housing units ang targeted natin na ma-generate dito. So, located at San Simon, Cagayan de Oro City. Another resettlement assistance program from Kalaanan, Kanituan. This is for 500 for informal settlers. Land development only. Gawin ito mga 409 housing units ang na-construct. We introduce here the concrete pavement for the major roads, while the secondary only makadam. So, lot development lang ito po. Nakadegenerate ng 118 units for the Hawak Kamay Multipurpose Cooperative Housing Project. So, kanto sa local housing fund from the congressional fund ito. That's all, although we have several programs also, like the GAP, yung Government Employees Housing, pero wala yata dito sa Cagayan de Oro. So, we limit only dito sa Cagayan de Oro mga housing projects. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir. All right, just a brief background, no? The NHA also is very active in our engagement with city housing. Just recently, they just turned over their 771 unitized titles for the NHA Village Mambuaya Phase 1. Hi, Ma'am Fe and company. All right, so we are down. Muna nilang ginaingon nga exciting part. So, this breakout session, naapod tay reactant and discussant na portion. So, I would like, first is thank you for that insightful and mind-sugar presentation sa atong 4 presenters. And now we will turn to our esteemed and dynamic reactors, no? Our first reactor is... Our first reactor is representing Oro Habitat and the Executive Director of Touch Foundation. May I call on Ms. Virginia Espacuño, ma'am? Please. This portion is where the reactors may either discuss their points on the presentation given, or at the same time they can ask questions to the presenter. So, are we okay to go on, ma'am? Okay. Round of applause, please, Ma'am Miss Virginia Pacuño. Yes, ma'am. You ask question, ma'am, for our presenter. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. First, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Art. Ma'am, is it all right you can come forward? Yes, ma'am, here.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, ang first, yung sa first presentation on the 5 key growth areas, in terms of although in terms of designation of developments, I think for me it's a very good initiative or direction of the city government. Ang nakita lang siguro nako na parang need to consider more. One is yung sa water use, because there are so many developments like subdivision, and then a lot of facilities, or commercial, but what will happen to water, So even right now, nakita na nato na especially during summer, a lot of many families are also have problems of water. So kanang isa sa nakita na ko na consideration. So what are we going to do with our watersheds? So when it comes to development, not only on like socioeconomic development or housing, but most especially the development of our watershed and also ensuring water supply, the sustainability of water supply. Another concerns na nakita na ako is the traffic. So as expected, if you have many housing project or the increase of population, the next problem is the traffic. So how sure are we that, although you include the road network, but how are we going to ensure na hindi siya parehas sa Manila, na mahitabo ang traffic? Okay? And another concerns na nakita nako sa growth areas, kaning although naasiyay designated na housing area, but daay mga workers diri sa Cagayan de Oro nga dito pod magstay outside sa Cagayan, like sa Libona, Gango, Kinawi, or diri sa Opol, somewhere. What will be the role of a city government sa pag-assist dito sa mga Cagayan de Oro workers na nag-transfer dito sa ani nga mga areas, So ang akong tanaw, is there a need to collaborate like the municipality o LGU of Libona or LGU of Opol, with the Cagayan de Oro? So kana siguro ang akong isa ka concern. Okay. So move to another speaker, kay Maricel Palarca. Okay. She mentioned the need for the design. Ang nakita nako na for one is the need to integrate sa design kaning the use of environment-friendly technologies, like the use of, pwede ba nga ang housing project sa city government considers kaning magbutang og solar panel, no, para or kaning sa biomass or any renewable or water catchment. Nakita na ko na siya water catchment, no, nga every building magbutang og kanang water catchment. But baka pwede i-explore ang kaniang mga renewable sources of energy, no, para sustain, kung mayroon kang sustainability, baka i-include na siya sa design. And then, baka pwede po ma-include sa design ang kaning sa environment, like, di ba, kanang green garden within the house or within the building. So, kung makita bitaw nato diha sa Ortegas, makita nato ng building kanang sa San Miguel, di ba green kaayo sa front. So, nice food nga ma-explore siya diha sa ato ang mga buildings. And then, sa atong subdivision, pwede sa atong community subdivision, sa different growth areas, pwede sad ma-consider nato paunsa ma-institutionalize kani mga home gardening, you know, kanang kay ang pinaka concern man ka nato is food security. So nga walay pagkaon, no, so baka pwede din ma-explore ang to ensure kanang mga gardening, no, mga greening within the community. Kaya at least dili na sila mag-anhipa, magpalit og kalamunggay, no, magpalit og other sources o sa pagkaon. Pwede na within their community. Okay. Okay. Ang isa din pa concern nako, baka ma-consider because nakita nako nga it's going to be a big construction efforts, no, sa city government. Base sa experience namo sa Oro Habitat, nakita nako na magkasakit ang mga workers, construction workers, wala na sila trabaho kay nagkasakit, wala po sila income. So ang nakita nako, the need to organize the construction workers and also ensuring social protection, no, kaning paunsa ning mga construction workers nga ma-institutionalize sila, na sila social protection, na sila enhancing their capacity, no. So for example na ay mga labor lang, din pagkahuman na sad sila, dili sila magkaroon ng proper skill, no, para sa construction. So I think that's part of the pwedeng go beyond not just construction but also building skills sa mga construction workers. May mugid silang partner, hindi lang sila kanang on call kung magtukod, kundi they are really the partner, no, sa construction. So kana ang nakita nato na isa ka possibility nga pwedeng ma-consider, no, okay. Isa siguro sa question nako aside sa input, pagpila di ay ang kung mingon pag affordable, pila gyud ang amortization nila per is it free? Libre ba na ang sa inyo sa city government? Free or naamoy amortization per month sa inyo hang kanang takila siya?
It depends siya, ma'am, if the lot is being donated to the city, so dili na siya pabayaran sa beneficiary. And then if ever pod acquired by the city, pabayaran sa ilaha at cost. Ang lot ng among gina-acquire, ma'am, and then ang housing, mo na to in collaboration with DSUD, SHAFC, or NHA.
So actually walay construction ang city government, ang yuta lang yun mo. Wa mo nag-provide, so ang balay gi-construct sa partner. Okay. So Nag-inquire lang siguro ko sa kanyang sa Social Housing Finance Corporation. Sir, kanoon sa rule, for example, kami Oro Habitat for Humanity, a shelter organization, ang social housing finance, naabasad siya support for the, for example, sa amo na house builder, no? For ka ng NGO. The same with NHA siguro po, sir.
Okay, yan, sir. Ay, okay. Ay, wait lang, sir. Ay, ma'am. Sige, please, pardon question.
Ano lang, kami shelter organization, no, builder pod me. So, nakita na ko kaganina na ang NHA, ang DSUD, o ang Social Finance Housing Corporation, na sila support, no, for housing or funds or fund support, financing for land or land acquisition or financing for house construction or land development. So, kana lang siguro akong pangutana. First three organizations.
Okay. Sir? Nakaiyak na.
Ang CMP na ay itawag na CMP mobilizer, no? I don't know if you have been part of a CMP project, so na mga mobilizer, so they assist the HOAs, no? They assist the community association, pwede sila maghatag og capacity building, nga bitaw, pwede sila mag-assist sa paghikay sa mga documents, okay, pag-organize sa community, and for those services, we give them fees, na ay fees na ginahatag sa Social Housing Finance Corporation. Ingunahan na siya. Naapoy mga NGOs nga ga-engage gid sa construction, like Link Build, Pagtambayayong, Habitat for Humanity, no? So they can engage in construction. Pero naalay mga certain mga modalities nga allowed sila. Pag mga arrangements, nga turnkey arrangements, nga dagko na kay mga amounts, dili maka-appeal ang mga builders ng mga NGOs tungod kay wala sila pick-up. That requires pickups. So halimbawa, katong Balubal project, which has 960 beneficiaries, okay, that was built by a corporation, by a construction corporation, no? not by an NGO builder. Pero ang involvement usually sa mga NGOs is as mobilizer.
Okay, thank you. First, ma'am, I regretfully inform you're so very limited with time. So, as much as you want to discuss more and further discussion, and question and answers, but then we are only bound to limited time, no? So, our next reactor, Ma'am Rosabel, may she... wala siya. Okay. So, the next... Ma'am Rosabel, nasa Ma'am Rosabel? Gawas. Okay. Ma'am, Sige, sir. We'll try to sum it up lang din sa plenary.
Actually, ma'am, I encountered already several projects of the habitat, so I tried also to introduce, because we are only building housing units, like somewhere in the Pitan, meron kayong units doon. So I'm trying to contact the habitat there if we will provide them the land development. Because in Manila, yung mga squatters area, we call it the Zonal Improvement Program, as is where is ang pero ang sa inyo po, ma'am, ay naka-align na eh. Okay na. So, if the habitat through the local government can request the NHA to provide the provision of concrete roads and canals, water system, we are also willing, ma'am, to provide. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, ang counterpart namin is land development. Thank you po.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for the input and outputs. Please, a round of applause first. Okay, I hate to break in this, no, but I would like to introduce also our second reactor. I already explained to ma'am, we are so, we'd like to apologize because we are already beyond our time. I just want to introduce her. Our second reactor is representing the organization and socialized and economic developers of the Philippines. The COO, General Manager of Liberty Land Corporation. This madam is also one of the dynamic and sweet client of the registry of this, and I also get the chance to entertain her during then. Madam Rosabel Villanueva. So, ma'am, please can you give a little short synthesis of this reaction, ma'am?
Okay, so may hapon sa tanan, padalion daw kuno ko nilay ka kay gitagaan tag oras. But anyway, first lang na ko ang reaction, no, katong kang sa first speaker kay architect. Ang urban dito, urbanization katong 5 growth areas. So same with ma'am kuan, nakita na ko problema tubig. And aside from that is flooding. Dili na free ang dili na flood free ang taas. And another is daghan unta, but then ato lang paspasan, no, i-summarize. Kang katusang sa second kay Miss Maricel. So ang iyang giingnon is with regards to challenges. Yes, daghan kaayong challenge og magngita ta og location for para anang housing, socialized, labi na kay tungod ang ato ang budget is very tight. No, very tight. And isa lang sad sa ako ang masulti with regards to this. That's why developers also hate mag-provide og socialized housing if not that pinugsanay nga 15% allocation, we will not. And why? Because the independent think tank Center for Housing and Independent Research Synergies chairs ang among tawag ana na naghimog study, no, naghimo na siya study. Ang developer mo agi og 27 offices to secure 78 permits and 146 signatures, and to submit it total of 373. So kanina ningon si Mayor, ako lang isultig balik, lisod kaayo ang housing, no? Mo iyang giingon sa iyahang social sa to iyang pagkasulti. Housing is the most difficult social service, yes. Tinuod kay perting daghana agian. So parihas ta public, government and private developers parihas og giagian. Inyong problema conversion, same with us. So, siguro, ang ako ikasulti, overall na lang is, atong ilisen ang processing time. Ang agian, kay perting daghana, dili isa ka dupa isa kilometro. Sobra pa, no? So, manay akong observation. And, True kanina ingon PPPP upat. Private public unsa to sa people partnership. So mag-partner siguro tang tanan para magkahiusag, magkatinabanga. And another one for the finance. Sir, attorney, last na lang ni kay nadumduman nako. Dugay ra gyud ni nako ang pangutana. Nganuman nga ang interest rate nato sa CMP, sa inyong community mortgage program is 6% sa 25 years. 30 years is 4.5. Nganong dili pwede na siya maminusan since it's a government program para maka-afford ang halos tanan. Kay kanina gingon niyo tulo lang inyong ma-serve because katulang na sa kinaubsan. And og subsidize siya, wa siya bayran. Pero siguro katunga. Meaning to say, sa mga 1,000. O interest rate 6%, mas taas na. Mo lang siguro na ako ang masulti. Daghan kayong salamat.
Ma'am, thank you kay Ma'am ha. So, okay, thank you so much for the input and outputs of everyone. Again, this has been the third Cagayan de Oro Housing Summit breakout session under the theme Land Use and Affordable Housing. May we represent, may I call on Ma'am Lalaine Umanya? Okay. Ma'am Maricel, kindly assist me in the awarding of recognition for our presenters and reactors for today. And again, I want to extend our apology to the participants as much as we want to entertain your discussion and questions, but we are bound again to this limited portion of time. Rest assured we will cater in the next one. Okay? So may I call on... Is that first one? Sir Ramon, kindly assist us, please. Okay, I just read the citation, no? Kurambo sa Hapsay Balay Award is presented to Architect Kevin Mugot. This award serves as recognition and sincere appreciation for his valuable expertise on land use and affordable housing during the 3rd CDO Housing Summit given this 22nd day of June in the year of our Lord at the Gan Caprice Convention Center. Sir, round of applause, please. Hello, sir. Sir, dito. Sir, dito picture. Dito picture. Okay. Second, okay. Okay, kasi second mo. Okay, this award is also presented to Attorney John Fe Payot for his recognition and sincere appreciation for his valuable expertise on land use and affordable housing during the 3rd City Housing Summit. Attorney John Fe, please. You can say. Attorney. Konnichiwa, sir. Congrats. And of course, this award is presented to Engineer Alfonso Barlagdanin. He serves as recognition and sincere appreciation for his valuable expertise. Congratulations, sir. Lagi. Picturean lagi. Isa next, ma'am. And of course, our dynamic reactors. This award is presented to Madam Virgie Pacunyo, serves as a recognition and sincere appreciation for her valuable participant as land. Thank you, Mom. Okay, after this, may picture after. And of course, last but not the least, our ever dynamic reactor and discussant for this afternoon, Madam Rosabel Villanueva, in her recognition and sincere appreciation for her valuable time for today. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, may I please request for the presenter and reactors to please come forward. Sir, Architect Mugot. Lugyo lang ito, dapat picture yun. Yeah. Mao. Okay, ma'am, dito. Okay. Marlagdan dito, ma'am. Pictures. Pero, ay, wala tayo picture. Okay. Okay. Ma'am Virgie and Ma'am Rosabel, please join. Okay. Mabalik ko. Okay. All right. Of course, Ma'am Lovejoy, kindly distribute the. May I request the participants to please answer or respond on the feedback form in lieu of your participation for today. And also you can comment on and write on your questions as we will be addressing it through the office. Ma'am Lovejoy, kindly assist the feedback form. And we're down to our closing time. That's a whole profound discussion, and we'll take it, of course, to the heart. We would like to thank you all for your inputs and outputs. This will be one of our prosperous guides for the next years and activities to come, as we will be heading for another fusion of milestones. After all, this is Corambo's now collaborative engagement of Corambo's Hapsay Balay Force that will be integrated in our local shelter plan, chiefly in the drive of public services intended for the beloved constituents of the city and an instrument of leveling off more and development for the national community. Once again, thank you so much. This has been Kim, and hope to see you all soon again. Thank you. Sige sila. Mabalik ba? Okay, another reminder lang. Let me respectfully request everyone to go back to the main hall for the plenary for the sentences and for the closing remarks from the Kagawad Attorney Edgar Cabanlas. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello. Engineer Sheila, kindly send your sentences to Cha and Ralph.